treating sexual abuse cases with anything but the human feeling it deserves and just as a crime will not see either justice or prevention. Now, on the note of prevention, this should be at the forefront of our minds. We need to take responsibility for prevention rather than how to survive after, or the emphasis on girls and women on how to protect ourselves. Prevention is the only true answer. Something I'd like to think about is we know so much on how to prevent sexual abuse. We have the knowledge of prevention training. We have the knowledge of the complex nature of sexual abuse, which it is, and therefore we have the knowledge to educate. We know it's happening. Only yesterday I read a newspaper that had 6 different stories of sexual abuse in the first 5 pages. We also care. We're all here, I'm stood here, and we know that an awful lot of men and women do care. We only have to look at, do you remember Dapper Laughs, to see that? So what's missing? Why is sexual abuse still part of our culture? We can prevent 1 in 5 women and girls being sexually abused. We can stop this gender inequality, which it is. Most perpetrators are men, and most victims are women. And we can stop the huge drain and financial cost of sexual abuse on our society.
Health is everything and is central to all challenges around the world. So bear with me. Education, gender equality, poverty, unemployment, economic growth, and social growth. The list goes on. The main reason why children don't attend school is because of their health. Fortunately, here in the UK, I don't know whether you're all from the UK, we have readily available and mandatory vaccines. We also have a first-class free health service, no tropical diseases like malaria, which has already killed 500,000 people alone this year. Plus, we have good sanitation, hygiene, and clean water. And sanitary conditions kill up to 5 million people on estimate each year. Now, if we invest more in education, then poverty will be reduced at a faster rate, which will have long-term health benefits and help other issues like gender equality. However, if children aren't healthy or even alive in the first place to attend school, then none of these issues like education, poverty, or gender inequality are going to be improved. A child has to be healthy and disease-free to be able to go to school, right? The biggest reason a parent can't work is health. If a parent gets ill with a deadly disease, such as malaria, which I'll come on to in a moment, as someone who's battled against it and continues to overcome the effects, then the child drops out of school to help work and in some cases becomes the head of the family, and the cycle of poverty continues. I got worse each day of the coma, and by day 10 I had to be aggressively resuscitated. But they said the chances of me surviving that night were slim. My friends and my family were told to prepare themselves. The doctors still didn't know what was wrong. I've been hospitalized for 10 days now, and they took every test under the sun: yellow fever, Zika, Rocky Mountain fever. There's a huge, crazy list that I've read that is of everything you can possibly imagine and you can't pronounce, apart from one disease. The oldest disease in the world, one of the most deadliest diseases, the one that right now kills a child every 2 minutes, the one that has already killed half of mankind, and the one that very nearly killed me. You know what it is: malaria. Dr. Cecilia, on a last-minute whim, decided to send my bloods to San Francisco and test for malaria as a complete last resort. Thank God she did. By this point, it had completely taken over my body. I had no red blood cells, I was on permanent blood transfusions, I had complete organ failure, and to the people on the outside, the only thing that was keeping me alive was that goddamn machine. But from the inside, so was I. My mind, my soul, and my spirit. I knew I was dying. I knew, but I was absolutely fighting. I was fighting so goddamn hard to stay alive. I desperately wanted to live, and for one short second I did accept my fate. I thought, well, maybe this was it.
but I knew that I wasn't, and there was no way that I was going to give in. I had this conversation, to me, I felt like it was a conversation with death, and death told me to go with it, and I spoke to it, and its energy like ushered me away from me, and it got more forceful, telling me that I had to go. And I pictured my funeral, I saw my mum and my brothers devastated. And I want to show you a bit about human spirit, because I fought so hard, and I said, like, no, I can't leave my mum, I can't do that to her, she doesn't deserve it, this can't be it, I have so much life to give, too much to do in my life, I can't go, you can't take me, no, I will not go, you will not win, I will fight. Given that half of the US exports, that's billions of dollars, go to developing malaria-ridden countries, I'm a little bit confused of how this logic stands up. The developed world relies on the developing world as much as the developing relies on the developed. It's a two-way relationship. Another money mention. Over the last 15 years, $672 billion was lost from the global gross domestic product as a result of malaria. It puts things into perspective when 1/3 of the money spent on one US Trident submarine could eliminate malaria in the world for good. So the question I've got to ask isn't whether we know we can end malaria in our lifetime once and for all. I think every person spoken said it's preventable, it's treatable, we can end it. The real question is, do we have the courage to? I'm going to finish because politician and narrator Edmund Burke once said, nobody made a greater mistake than he who did nothing because he could only do a little. I'm trying to use what happened to me last summer, and it was only last summer, to try and prevent others from dying. This is only a little, but if we all did our little instead of our nothing, our little added together is enormous. And together, that's what changes the world. So thank you so much for listening to me.